All right, you guys, welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Get Reelisms podcast. I am Adam Chase Rennie.
And I am Christine Chen.
Okay, guys. Last week was a sensational episode.
Yeah.
It was enlightening. It was thought-provoking. It was I learned so much. Appreciated, more information and just more insight and different perspective. That was the whole thing that I came around the most, was the perspective, the fresh perspective. So it was a very good show. So I thank those guests last week for doing it. But today we have a very special guest, and we are letting her in. She's ring-a-ding-ding right now, and she's been patiently waiting. So
she's coming.
All right. She's joining us right now. Hey!
There we are. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Is mine
there? Nope.
Sideways.
Sideways.
Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can fix that. I'm on my phone because
You're
I'm
filming
just
sideways.
Is that
there
better?
you go. Perfect. Yes, that's perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Hey.
I'm
Cool.
here.
So, thanks so much for being on it so last minute. I just thought it would be really fitting since we're going to go into production for your film.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yay.
So do you want to introduce yourself, Lauren?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Lauren. No.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's end of podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Get Reelisms podcast. Tune in next week. Okay.
I'm Lauren Locks. Mainly do acting in the industry, but sometimes do writing and directing. And this is my first time fully producing a project that I've also written and will be acting in. So it's going to be an interesting experience.
That's awesome. And so you wrote it as well, and you
wrote it. Did you just say wrote it?
I did. I'm tired. I'm sorry. 5 hours of sleep. Good grief.
I did. I wrote it.
Acted in it.
And directed in it.
All the did-its. Man, that's impressive, Lauren. That's impressive. What were you going to say, Christine?
I was going to say, so what have you learned so far doing it all yourself?
You need help. You need, I think that phrase gets thrown out a lot about film being a collaboration, but I don't think it's truer than when you try to put your own production together, something that you envisioned and then you put down on paper, and then you're moving it from paper to screen. You just need a team of people to help you out.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is true. Or you'll go nuts, or you'll drop the ball on something. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
We've
done a few times already.
So elevator pitch. What's your film about? What's the log line?
The log line is a bitter financial consultant is challenged to face his jaundiced view. A bitter financial consultant is challenged to face his jaundiced view of the world when a quirky stranger dismantles his reality before the sun sets.
Yay.
Whoa.
Ooh,
yeah.
Very nice.
Trippy.
And
like
how many locations are there that you're shooting at, and where are you shooting?
So there's 2 main locations. There's one little semi location kind of like for the little beginning shot, but other than that, 2 main locations. One of them is my house, and we're going to use 2 locations at my house to be 2 different places for ease of access. And then the other one is kind of out in the woods area. We're going to use different areas, but it's going to be really pretty, I think.
Yeah. So I heard that, I think just through Facebook, that you had tried to shoot this before, and you had to do it like twice before you actually got to go into production. What's the story around that?
Yeah, so originally I was going to do this really, really, really small scale back in December or so. But then I took a step back and said, let me push this to the spring because one, it's going to be cold and you're out in the woods and it's supposed to be a summery type film and everything was going to be dead. So I said, let me take some time. And then the second and third time that I pushed it back were all due to COVID.
Got it.
Right, because that's that was the time.
That's the big problem. So I guess that's a good segue. What were your concerns going forth, and why did you decide to pull the plug and go forward and decide to shoot now?
So the reason I decided to postpone was because the first dates were supposed to be April 3rd and 4th, which are perfect weather-wise. So I was super excited about that. But that was right when everything was really ramping up with the coronavirus. And I didn't feel comfortable putting cast and crew in that position. And then the guidelines started coming out with social distancing, and they got stricter and stricter until the most people allowed to be out while social distancing was 4. And I was like, well, I need more than 4 people to make this film. And then the second time was I was going to try to do it last month in May. But then I've been keeping a very close eye on the news and what's been going on in Austin. And I just still didn't feel comfortable at that point. But it ended up being a blessing in disguise because I was able to reach out to my boyfriend's mother, who makes masks, and she ended up being able to make custom masks for our whole production that have the logo on. Yeah.
Do you have it? Can you show? Oh, yay, there it is. Yay. That's so cute. Yes.
Yeah. And so there's 8 men's and 8 women's for the cast and crew, and they're all with the ribbon, so they're adjustable, so they can fit anyone's face.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So I guess obviously shooting is really, really hard. What are certain let's talk about precautions and how people can stay safe on set, and what are things that you guys are doing besides the masks?
Yeah, so we have the mask, and that's my mask. I haven't touched anybody else's mask. They're still in the packaging they came in because I want to reduce, even though I've been super careful because I have a son under 2 years old, so I've been extremely careful. I still didn't want to risk anything, so I've kept those in the package. I've gotten hand sanitizer. I'm trying to still acquire the little ones for everyone to have their own, so they don't have to share. And then, especially as far as makeup goes, we've got disposable applicators. And then we're also going to ask, especially the other actresses in the film, to bring their own, if they're comfortable bringing their own makeup brushes, so that way we're not, just the least amount of transfer possible that we can do. And
contamination stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And then we also, we spoke about social distancing. I talked to all of the cast and crew members and made sure if they were comfortable being on set, especially, my lead actor who's playing Jeff, he has someone in his family who's immune compromised. So we wanted to be really careful, and he has the most contact with any other people on the set. So I really wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with everything. And, I told him, I was like, I can work around this and, rework the script to where you're not really touching anyone, but you're still going to be in close proximity. And after a few conversations, he kind of decided that he was okay with being in that close proximity. So we kind of left it as is.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Do you think having a small crew also helps too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it as small as possible, and anybody who does not need to be near another person will, my suggestion is for them not to be near another person. We have someone who's doing lighting or sound or the makeup, do your thing and then get out of the, not just get out of the shot, but take your time to distance a little bit. It's going to be weird having a whole bunch of us just standing around
Spread out. Yeah.
in these like matching masks in the woods, but I think it'll be all right that way. Yeah, definitely spread out.
Yeah. I guess what are you most afraid, or I guess how are you going to keep the distance rule? I know some people have been saying and kind of keeping it like a closed set where, because it's really, the actors are the most vulnerable since they can't have masks on, obviously, when they're filming.
Right.
Crew will probably keep them on all the time. Are you just pretty much making sure that their only contact is maybe with the makeup artist and everybody else just kind of lingers around, that type of thing?
Yeah. And that character that I was mentioning, he is the only one who comes into contact with the other characters. None of the other actors come into contact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the only one that I had to really be concerned with about that. But I have also, it's crossed my mind that, whoever's pulling focus is going to have to be very close to the DP.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. But, and, luckily everyone seems kind of okay and everybody's been taking the precautions. But something that we can't do right now is the general population, don't have access to testing kits. So we can't actually rule someone out from having COVID, but, taking temperatures before or asking everyone if they're experiencing any symptoms can at least cut down on, the amount of people who could possibly have COVID.
Yeah. I find this conversation really interesting only because after your set, I'll be going on to another bigger set. And I think what we're doing is we're partnering up we have a scene that's in hospital, which is a huge compromise, basically, in terms of really making sure everybody is COVID free. So we're partnering with them where when we arrive the day before we shoot, we all have to take a test, basically. But because it's partnered up with the hospital, they're the ones who are kind of going to be providing it for us.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So.
I looked into I wonder if maybe now we have access to testing and it is just phenomenal expensive. So I was like, well, we may not be able to do that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
That's great that you guys are able to, though.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going in very excited, but I'm extremely your set will be the first one I will be on since the COVID shutdown. So
yay!
So it's both like exciting because we've all been in our houses for the past 3, almost 4 months, and this will be the first time that really we're around other people. And even though I want to, my job as an AD is safety, and so I want to absolutely have those talks and really enforce them when we're on set, just so that we're all really safe. So I'm really glad that you have the mask there, that you have the resources for it, and I think looking at your schedule, it's reasonable, and we can build in time for people taking a little bit more time when shooting, because they need to clean their hands more often and things like that. So
right. And that was you had asked me before about the restrooms, because there are restrooms at the place that we're going to be that is outside, thank goodness. But I always think about the sinks there, other people washing their hands. So that's another reason I'm like really adamant about having the hand sanitizer and whatnot.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. We are shooting mainly outside, which does help, I think. So we are in the open air, and it's not like there's going to be a house later, but even that, I think we can just be spread out, and when we're actually shooting the house stuff, just be limited. I think my plan is, unless you're the makeup artist, the shooter, or whatnot, we treat it like a closed set. So on a film set, oftentimes, for those who watch this and don't know about films, when there's sometimes called a closed set when only basically the sound guy and the DP and maybe the AD, but oftentimes not even the AD, are in the room and everybody's out. So this is probably going to be one of those situations where we really keep that and maintain that and kind of not see each other out for, hey, did you wash your hands? And being really good about, I think a lot of it's going to take a lot of just being accountable for each other, and just watching out for everybody and kind of double checking with your friends and with other people on crew, hey, did everybody wash their hands? Great, let's keep going. And hey, did everybody? So just having checkpoints and filling those in. It should be really interesting. I don't know what to expect. I'm worried, but I'm excited, but I'm also, I don't know. It's liability, but we have to work at some point. I just think if we are all careful and wear masks, that I think will help out a lot.
Y'all are making history. This is kind of a first. This is kind of like one of the first productions that I've seen. Especially my mentor Christine is venturing into that will take safety and precautionary everything while also maintaining the creativity inside the film set. So as long as we can maintain those guidelines, and I think this could actually work out. I do think there's a chance for this to happen, because as I'm looking at this on the website, California is still closed. New York is still closed. Georgia is under strict restrictions. 65 or over cannot work outside. Social distancing, every state is requiring face masks, and including California and New York, obviously. So Texas is one of the only states next to Florida that is not currently shut down. It is open. However, there is safety to be practiced. And, if you're filming, I think within the city ordinance, it is recommended to wear a face mask, even though, it's not like it's a mandatory thing. At least
we're just lucky. Everybody, I think, on this set is pretty young, which helps out a lot.
Exactly.
And we're outside, which is good a lot of times. And then we all are going to wear face masks. I think the total number of crew and cast it's going to add up to around like 10, 15, which is.
Yeah, I think it's, so it's about 12 per day, but it's like 14 total because some people won't be there on the first day who will be there on the second. Yeah.
Right. And so I think I'll be, cracking the whip and telling people to try to stay away from each other, 6 feet apart, as much as you can, type thing. And I'm sure, the DP, Rob, has, at least picked somebody he knows that is not going to compromise his system and stuff. Right. And I think the majority of us have all been in quarantine. I haven't really left my house at all. So, so hopefully we just I think if we all just double check on each other, then we should be okay. I don't know. It's my other production. We have a 95-year-old actress.
Oh wow.
So I don't think she'll be able to actually, I think they're going to have to shoot it at her house, because she can't travel.
There's no way.
Yeah, that's just not possible.
Is it Betty White?
That would be so cool. No, I wish.
I just want to grow up to be Betty White one day.
That's
awesome. My goal in life.
I just love when COVID, there was all these memes. I was, Betty's okay. We're fine. Betty is fine. Every time there's a catastrophe, Betty's still fine. So, looking at, I've been reading the regulations for Fox. They've and for, I know with SAG productions, you need to go in with a list of how your health guidelines are going to be, and they approve it, and if they approve it in Texas, then they let you shoot. So
Right.
Yeah. And I was actually happy to see that the Texas Film Commission put out some guidelines too, because that made me kind of have a sigh of relief of going,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not like making this terrible decision to put people in this, you know, awful position, like where they could be risk and whatnot. And I think it's also maybe really important to note, because this happens a lot on indie sets, definitely not SAG because they have rules against this, but another very important part of keeping your health up and, you know, being safe is making sure that your cast and crew get an adequate amount of sleep. You know, not going from day to day like super quickly, because the less sleep you get, then the easier it is to get sick from anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I got really ill from the last one, because it was the complete lack of sleep. I just pulled up the Austin, Texas, the Film Commission stuff just to kind of talk about what they have, but it's pretty like what we've said, which is just doing a double check and making sure if anybody is like coughing, has chills, muscle pain, headaches, sore throat, loss of taste, all that stuff, we just send them home immediately, basically. Like, that's that. Right. And the other thing is, that we need to take the temperature of all staff upon arrival on the set.
I read that too.
Something to think about. So,
I've been thinking if there's like, you know, either get the ones that go on the forehead, because I have one of those, but I mean, that's still getting close to people. Or do you get like the disposable plastic covers for the thermometer? I've thought about it, and I'm just not sure. You know, this is all unprecedented territory.
Totally, but it's interesting. As I would say, it's disposable unless as little contact as possible. And whoever, I guess when they're touching the thing, you know, wear gloves or something, you know. So or sanitize before you touch the thermometer or whatever. So something we should probably talk about.
Definitely.
Sure. But yes, so it says take temperature upon all staff. And then it says, provide personal hygiene things, so more so than usual. So you need hand sanitizers with at least 60% alcohol, disinfectants, need places that we can dispose of stuff. So this something that we need to think about when we're in the woods, just having portable trash can or just access to trash cans would be really
and this
great.
particular place we're filming at actually has a couple different areas with trash cans too. And if we need to bring our own to like contain, then that's something that we also need to kind of put on the things we need to bring. But this one, it's a little less, you know, hiking trail, a little more park-ish.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
It just says reduce time was a big thing, just so that everybody gets enough time.
Will it be still the full 12-hour shoot per day?
It's
Is that a tender question? Sorry, I'll redact it.
I mean, I think Christine might be better at like gauging how long the shots will take, because this is my first time dealing with shot lists and all of that as well. But because normally I'm just more on the creative side, not the logistical side. But I think the first day is going to be a full long day. I think the second day is going to be a lot shorter.
Yeah, and we have a backup plan where if we need to, we can put some of our things on the next day. Our day, which I often do, which is make it front heavy so that we have the option to, if we need to, scoot some scenes to the next day. But I think the biggest thing is that we will gauge how the day goes, and we're not going to push ourselves nearly as much as we normally would. Just because safety is first and health is king. So I think we'll just make sure to have lots of double checks. Like, hey, everybody feeling good? Can we move on? All right, you know, type thing. And then, do you guys feel like we should probably move this stuff to next day because we have time? And then, you know, back and forth. I think as long as there's a communication, and I think crew and cast feel like you care about their health and safety, I think that does a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So, I guess what are you're excited, and any last words for about your set, or to people on set, or for anybody who's wanting to shoot? Any wise words of wisdom?
My wise words of wisdom. Yeah. I think, something to think about is a lot of us do want to get out there and shoot. And the reason I've been so cautious and postponed this so much is because there is the thought of everyone's like, yeah, I want to go shoot. And then we go shoot. What happens when one little thing happens and someone gets upset and then later on decides they're angry about it? Well, who's liable? I am. And so those things kind of weigh heavily on my mind. So before you go out and shoot, make sure you can have safety precautions in place. And then also, decide if it's really a good idea to do that, or if you can split days up or make them shorter. I would love to make my days a little bit shorter, but because of this particular production, it just kind of has to be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as Dawn, I am very nervous. I'm very excited. I'm terrified, actually, to shoot this film, not because of COVID, but because there are a lot of things that are my heart and my soul and some really vulnerable things that I've put into this particular script.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's kind of like I posted on Facebook, or that's the beauty of it, is like the vulnerability is kind of letting some of this out. And even though it's scary, letting the world kind of see that part of you. And hoping it reads well,
Yeah. Have you directed before?
I have directed. I had no idea what I was doing. So on the first one I did, that one was a supernatural one about vampires. That concept and that script I really, really loved. And that was interesting for me to learn that you can't just write things and have them visually look okay. Because as an actor first, like, you think very dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
And not visually. And so I've been kind of trying to like refine the process a little bit to be more visual. And then I did a second little film that I directed. It was like we came up with the idea and we shot it 2 weeks later. And this was back in this was back in January or February. And that was a one take. And so that one was like, we kind of had to figure it all out and then just let it play out as it went.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What kind? Do you have a specific style? Like, do you think, or you're kind of just exploring right now?
I think I'm exploring a little bit. I really, really like drama and fantasy, and kind of like a little bit into sci-fi, but not straight into like, another galaxy, which is why like there's parts of Dawn that are, I think Adam said it earlier when he was like, ooh, trippy. Like that's part of Dawn is supposed to be a little bit trippy. It was inspired by a trip experience. So, there's certain things, and the color grading is very important for Dawn because of that element, and I want to kind of experiment a little bit into other realms, but I do really love drama. I would love one day to take a crack at comedy. And I think offhand, I can be kind of funny like in my normal life, but then when I try to do scripted comedy, it is so difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a challenge I want to try eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was opposite. I started with comedy.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to drama. I think for me it was because I like to laugh a lot, and so it's easy for me to write things that seem that I laugh, and if I laugh at it, then I'll try it type thing. So I think a lot about comedy is timing, and so sometimes it's more in the edit or more with how something is said than the actual dialogue itself, the context or the content of the dialogue. And so comedy is fun. I like to be on the line, so I love to do something where it should be dark, but it's funny. Like like I loved Taika's recent film Jojo Rabbit so much.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's but if you were to say, hey, take Hitler and make it funny, you know, it might be a little bit, but I think that's fascinating to be able to tread that line.
Dark humor, yeah.
Yes. So, well, very, very cool. All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to talk about? We can talk about other projects or whatever, or you can say bye, whichever one you would like to do.
I actually wanted to ask you, so what has influenced you in terms of being in the creative field of filmmaking? What's your biggest influence?
Ooh, that is such a heavy question.
So it could be anything. It could be, for me, it's music. Music is the reason why I love music inside filmmaking, and it's a great narration for me to understand a story that I'm telling or that I'm seeing, you know. So there's different variations. So it could be a movie, it could be a show, it could be like, I don't know, man, I just read the newspaper and I just thought, hey, I'll do this. You know, like it could be anything.
Yeah, I think mine is kind of a collection of things that make me love it. I mean, it's like one day I'm influenced by something else and the next day I'm influenced by something totally different. When I was younger,
sort of like restores that energy that you have for filmmaking, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Especially if you're watching an inspiring show or TV or any piece of content, it sort of like spikes your, sorry, I interrupted you. So
no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I was going to say, when I was a kid growing up, I was really into theater, and I did that from the time I was 7 until the time I graduated high school. And then my parents were like, we're not paying for a theater degree. So I got a different degree and kind of went down a different career path for a bit. And inside of me, there was something that kept saying like, something's missing, you know, something's not right. And so I kind of, I drove off to this audition in Austin because I was living in Houston at the time. And I did the audition. I didn't know what a slate was at the time because I had never done film before. I'd only known theater.
Christine taught me how to what a slate was.
I didn't know what a slate was either because I was in documentary filmmaking.
It was so embarrassing because they were like, okay, do it again this time, but slate to the camera first. And I thought it just meant like turn to the camera. So then I turned to the camera and delivered all my lines like commercial style. And they were like, okay, thanks for coming. But I got that feeling after that audition. I knew I failed. I could tell by the looks on their face, but I got that feeling after that audition, like, oh man, I have to keep doing this. And then something else that kind of played into that moment was growing up when I was younger, I really liked a lot of the fantasy type stuff, but then something changed and I wouldn't watch anything that was fantasy related. I didn't watch the Harry Potter movies or Lord of the Rings or anything until just a few years ago. And
congratulations.
Thank you.
I wish I could rewatch all. I wish there's a time where I watched Lord of the Rings with my sister and I was like, there's a moment where I wish I would have watched it all over again, not knowing anything, because that's how much I love fantasy and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome that you watched it like starting a few years ago. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. And what happened was I was in college, and this was all like leading up to that moment where I went to that audition. My little brother was like 10 years old at the time, and he's like, you've got to watch this cool show. It's about vampires. And I had just seen Twilight. So I was like, okay, I'll watch a vampire show. It was Vampire Diaries. And I watched Nina Dobrev play both Elena and Catherine, she plays, you know, it's just her, but she's playing these two different characters who are very different. And it inspired me so much to see one person playing two, and you know exactly which character is on screen by her mannerisms. And I was just, I started getting that little spark inside of me again. And that's when I was like, oh man, I think when I was younger and I thought acting was the thing that I needed to do, that I think I still want to do that. And ever since I left that other job and I went to that audition and I failed miserably, I'm like, I can't look back, and I never have.
That's
How long have you been doing
wonderful.
this again?
Film acting, I started classes in, oh, that's my toddler, 2014 or 2015.
Okay.
2014. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So 5 or 6 years.
Right on.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you mentioned that you want to get more into comedy. Do you watch, was there any comedy that you loved growing up that you go back to all the time? Like, is there a comedy movie or even a TV show that you are like, even now, like we're in quarantine, like I've gone back to watch like influential shows like Chappelle's Show. Like I binged 3 seasons with my mom, and my mom never seen Chappelle's Show, and I blew her mind. It was great. It was the funniest, most fun time that I've had here in quarantine. So have you watched any like great comedies? Do you?
Growing up, and this is probably the most vanilla cornflake answer. No,
no such thing.
Friends. I loved Friends. I was
Friends
one of those,
great.
and I've seen it. I've probably seen every episode like 8 to 10 times. I could rewatch the whole thing again.
Mm-hmm.
I could, and then I was never. I never really got that big into SNL, but I loved Mad TV. That was my jam.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Mad TV is wonderful. And, Jordan Peele was on Mad TV, who wrote and directed Get Out. And he was just only a writer, and he was fired within 1 year working for Mad TV. And he was like, you know what? They can all go fuck themselves. I'm going to do my thing. But then they created Key and Peele because Keegan-Michael Key was there. And then after that was when Jordan Peele made crazy ass fucking movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny
amazing
to see him,
movies.
Yeah, to see him in Key and Peele and then go to make Get Out, which, Get Out premiered at Sundance. I think it was like on February 24th or whatever month that happens in. And then it was like a month later, they decided to do a theatrical release, and it was made for like $4.5 million and then grossed like $500 million. Just crazy.
I watched it the best way possible. Didn't walk in with a trailer, didn't walk in with no information onto what this movie was about. And I was dating someone at the time, and we both walked out with like not talking to each other for the rest of the night because we were just trying to like wrap our heads around what we just watched. And it was by far, the next day we watched it again. Like, that's how much we loved it. We're like, we have to see this again. Like, it wasn't like a movie like, oh, it was so entertaining. It was like, there's so much going on that
there's a lot of depth.
It needed a second watch for sure. It was entertaining, of course, but it played like a Stanley Kubrick film. It was like, okay, there's so much shit that I missed.
There's that, Get Out has that beautiful build of suspense throughout the whole film, like because you know something's wrong. You just can't put your finger on what. Why? And then when you do find out, you're like, oh, dear God.
The first scene, it already felt creepy. It already felt like just them talking about, the trip that they're going to go on and the family he's going to meet. And it's like, well, African-American meeting a white family. I don't know how well they're going to take
that's
it.
Gonna go.
It already starts off uncomfortable. It's like, yikes. Yeah, that is weird. And then it goes weirder and weirder and weirder each scene. And then by the third act, it's just balls to the wall fucking crazy.
It is. And I watched that when I was I was pregnant. I was in my first trimester, and I was just like,
oh man, that must have been intense.
Everything's intense when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Everything. I when I was in my third trimester, there would be videos of people like getting a puppy for Christmas, and I would just bawl my eyes out.
Yeah.
It was great for auditions.
Yeah. Have you do you read books for inspiration as well?
Oh my God, yes. I just got done reading the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson.
Ooh.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh my God.
Wait, what is it called?
The Mistborn trilogy.
Trilogy. Okay. Writing that out.
Yeah. We have all of these epic fantasy series of books in our house because my boyfriend likes to read them. I have only just, the last one I read along those lines was The Hunger Games, which is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, Mistborn's really cool because it has a female protagonist, and she's strong, you know, and then it's about these it's like dystopian, so it's a little bit in the future, but they have to like burn these metals, and these metals give them power. And some of them can only burn one, but then if you can burn all, you know, 8 of them, then you're this very, very special Mistborn kind of, they call it allomancy. So it's an allomancer, but it's a really, really cool series.
Do you have a dream? Awesome. I just thought of something. Do you have a dream thing that you want to direct or act in? Like, what would be like an ideal project that would, if money wasn't a thing?
Like directing or acting?
Both.
Acting wise?
Yeah.
Acting wise, I've always wanted to play like a badass assassin.
Ooh.
Really? That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, look, I have dark features. We can just darken it up. I'll pull my hair back. We can make me a badass. I'll do it. And I used to actually do combat training. I've probably lost a lot of that since, you know, being pregnant and having a child. And I'd probably have to retrain. But I did a lot of that before because I was trying to get into that kind of stuff.
Do you? I know this is an interesting segue, but it has a connection to female assassins. Do you read comic books?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. It's okay. There's this comic that you will really, I mean, it's an absolute gorgeous comic. I mean, like, if you think like comic books are for kids, read this comic book called Nikita. Nikita is... Oh,
Nikita, yeah. Didn't they make a show out of that too?
It's a connection, but it's more towards the books. So it's a Russian agent. Or undercover agent, I should say. Mm-hmm. And it's essentially plays like a female James Bond if James Bond just went fucking AWOL, like just went crazy, just one time. That. Nikita just snaps, and there's one page, like full 2 panels, like 2 pages of just her just like going crazy. And just like, I won't say anything else after that because it's phenomenal. Like, and
you know what show?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, you know what show is phenomenal right now that's on the air that is about, you know, an assassin and then basically a MI6 operative falling in espionage love almost, like tracking down each other, is Killing Eve. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've heard I've seen Killing Eve, but I only did like a few episodes and then but what I've seen was amazing.
Mm.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And speaking of like music being an inspiration and how it is in film, they kind of do some interesting things with the music in that series, because in Killing Eve you have this like really intense scene where the assassin is killing somebody, but then they have this like beautiful romantic music playing in the background. It's a little bit quirky in that way, and it was written or created by, I can't remember, but it's written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Is that her name? Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah. She
did Fleabag. And,
yes, that's right.
Which is amazing, by the way. I love Fleabag. Yeah. I love Fleabag. I'm a huge Phoebe Waller-Bridge fan.
Oh yeah, it's one of those shows that came out of nowhere for me. Like, my mom watched it before I did, and she was like, "Have you watched this show?" 63-year-old woman. And I'm like, no. And she's like, watch the show.
I think you'll like it. She's seen it.
Oh, she's crazy. Like, she's seeing like so many. She's the one who got me into like a lot of like superhero TV shows, like Arrow and The Flash and all that. And she was like, it's comic books, you'll love it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I watch them. Like, I kind of like it.
I watched Arrow for a while. I kind of liked that one.
Yeah.
It's okay. My parents think good films are Fast and the Furious. So.
Listen, I mean, my mom's same way. Like my dad thinks that like every movie that I'm gonna be in, like that I'm working with you on, thinks like we're making the next Transformers. You know, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. My dad's just like, oh yeah, he's in Hollywood, he's doing it. It's like, where does he live? Austin.
Oh God, no, my parents are the exact opposite. They're basically like, well, okay, this next role you're playing the girl next door again, aren't you? And I'm like, Mom, I don't want to play the girl next door every time.
God, just only thinking of like one type of role. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
That's
I just want to be an assassin.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like that Nikita comic book series, it's on Amazon. I think it's like for $20, and you can buy the volume, and it's just one volume, and it's an easy like 1 hour read, you know. So it's
I love efficient reads.
Oh yeah.
Are your parents pretty chill? Like, is there anything that they would not want to see you in?
They might have some opposition to some things in Dawn.
Yeah.
That's another reason I'm a little nervous about it.
Oh, okay. Are they super conservative?
They lean that way, yeah.
Yeah, my folks do too. And I mean, they tell me, they're like, don't make violent films. First script I'm writing is absolute massacre. Like it's a really violent. So I'm doing anything to make my parents uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's how you should live life. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm telling you, it's the way to live.
That's our takeaway. Make your parents uncomfortable.
It's like, oh, can I see this with your niece? Nope, you can't.
Nope. Nope.
Oh man, I had a moment when now I watch all the films before I will watch them with my parents. Because I accidentally, when I went back last year or a year before, found out that our library in Colorado has a bunch of films, and I wanted to watch Carol because it was Academy nominated and stuff. It was great, but there were a bunch of like woman on woman like sex scenes, and my parent
wait till they watch Blue is the Warmest Color. Have you seen that one?
Right.
No,
yeah,
I will not watch that with my parents.
15-minute segment of.
If you really want an elephant in the room, you flick on that flick. Yeah, you.
Oh my God, it was funny
because
my mom was like glued to the TV. She was like just staring at everything, like, oh my God. Meanwhile, my dad is reading the box, the DVD box, intently.
He's like,
anything to distract me in this moment.
Let me read this.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah.
It was funny. And meanwhile, I'm like working / watching the film, and I'm typing to my brother. I'm just like, this is so awkward.
Awkward. Yeah, I went to watch a movie with my family once, and then the previews for 50 Shades of Grey came on, and all three of us were just like, like no one moved, no one breathed. We were just like, we don't talk about this.
That's when I lean in and I'm like, the book's way better, and then I just.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. I wonder what kind of parent I will be when I'm already a terrible aunt. I'm already a very terrible aunt. I recommended films to people like with kids, and then somebody in my crew will be like, there's like violence in that. I'm like, but that's reality.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm the worst. I'm like, yeah, but they got to learn sometime. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I'll never forget. My parents got so mad at my aunt for letting me watch The Exorcist when I was 14 years old at her house. And I mean, I was one of those kids that was a scaredy cat, so I was afraid of everything. So that movie messed me up for a while. And actually, I can't really watch a lot of horror movies anymore. I love thrillers. Horror, I can't really do though. Like Jaw, like what's it called, Saw.
Oh, I can't. I'm not a horror person. I can't do horror.
Yeah. That's why
I was gonna say I'm a huge scaredy cat.
So
same.
I was talking to my cousin not too long ago, and he's showing his kid, his daughter, like movies like that he's grown up watching, and he showed her like Jurassic Park and Back to the Future, like the good like heavy hitters, and he was like, I'm running out of movies, like what should I watch? And I was like, well, what do you want to watch? I'm like, I don't know, something like fantasy, maybe a little scary, who knows? So I'm like, oh, then watch The Babadook. And he never seen The Babadook? And he was like, what's that? And I'm like, it's great. You got to see it. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch it with the kid tonight. Literally, he left me a voicemail the next morning, and he was like, yo, bro, you're a dick, dude. Like, shit. He's like, my kid and I got nightmare. I have to sleep with my kid, dude. Like, you're fucked up.
That movie is so good, but so good at the creep factor.
Scary movies, like, they just, because I watched The Exorcist when I was 12, you know, and my dad was like, you're going to watch this, it's going to be a good movie. I'm like, okay, fucking scarred me for like years. And I still watch it. It's a good movie, but you wouldn't show it to a 12-year-old kid. That's just plain and simple.
No, I think I was a bit young because that night when I went to sleep and I was like at my aunt's house, my cousins at the time were like 6 and 3 or something like that. And I didn't know my little 3-year-old cousin was in the room with me, and I kept hearing this really loud growling sound in the corner. And I was just terrified. I kept imagining like her walking down the hallway towards me or something. And then finally, I'm one of those people that if something is scaring me that bad, I'm like, Billy, where are you? I have to like go investigate it. So I went and I found him in the corner, and he was just snoring really loudly. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I thought I was in trouble.
Like you're just hearing things. It's like, oh God, something here.
I thought it was the end. I thought that was the end of my life.
Yeah. I didn't write a will. Damn it.
I don't even know who to leave all my stuffed animals to.
Yes. For me, supernatural doesn't really do it. For me, it's like if it's really close to reality. So like serial killer type stuff, or it wasn't even a horror movie. There was a film that was about drug trafficking. And I can't remember what it's called for the life of me right now, but the opening scene is like they just went to this house and they opened the walls and there are a bunch of bodies in the walls.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh.
It's a terrible opening scene. Well, it's a shocking opening scene.
Well, I wouldn't say it's terrible. Yeah, it's grueling. It's gruesome.
Beautifully shot opening scene.
I want to see who...
But I had just moved to a new place.
Oh no.
And there was a hole like in the top of like every place I thought there was a body in the wall. Like everywhere. Every single place the garage, I had to go to the garage and I was like, there's probably bodies in here. It was really, it wasn't a scary movie. It was just a drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, normal drama. I just can't.
It reminds me that I think there was a film called East of Eden that was like in South by Southwest. I don't think that was the opening scene though, so I don't think that was the same film, but that one was about sex trafficking and it was actually really good.
Mm.
East of Eden. I haven't seen that.
I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was traumatized growing up. My dad showed me Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 13, and I was so hopped up. Really? Well, here's the thing. Now,
is that the one with Freddy Krueger and the
and Johnny Depp's in it?
Is he really? Man, he's in everything.
Well, it was like one of his first movies. And next to 21 Jump Street, I think that was before or after, I can't remember. But actually, I won't say it because, it's worth watching the movie. It's definitely worth watching the movie because, it's practical effects now, so it's nothing like, and it's Wes Craven. Wes Craven, he made Scream, it's not crazy. It's crazy, but not that crazy.
Sicario. Yeah. Somebody said it's Sicario.
I just looked it up. And I saw it. I'm like, it's Sicario. Yeah, that was a crazy ass movie.
Oh, okay. So Adam just commented and says, I have to tell the story of when we had to watch this movie with our little child lead actress. So one of the first film festivals I ever went to, the lead actress, who was like 8 or 10, 8 or 9, very little, came. But I think one rule should be you shouldn't bring your kids to a film festival unless you know that it's kid friendly. Well, we didn't really know that. So we're sitting there and her mom's sitting with us, and there's this whole thing with just boobs. Like, it wasn't scary, but the whole movie was just filled with boobs. Like, just like boobs on the wall, boobs, like, it was like this weird artsy sci-fi film, but we just kept looking at our mom and being like, we're sorry. So don't take your kids to a film festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, also free the nipple, so
that's also true. You know, they got to learn sometime. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. As someone who has breastfed, you know, boobs are not that big of a deal.
Right? No. Exactly. I don't know why it's so taboo in our culture. I guess because we're coming from like a Puritan type.
Well, I mean, it's just hard to watch with baby boomers, you know? They don't see that type of nudity. They grew up watching Bob Hope and stuff, you know? America's Sweetheart, $1 Million Man, you know? So yeah, they don't like to get invested with the booby movies. You know what I mean? Like they're not into it. They're just, you know, they rather not, you know. And I watch Watchmen with my mom. And if you don't know, have you both seen Watchmen? The show.
The movie?
Well,
the new show that came out. I've seen the movie.
Okay, I watched the show with my mom, and you know, in the movie that Dr. Manhattan, the big blue guy, he has the big swinging privates. Yeah. Literally same thing in that show, and there was like a shot where it was just that, and my mom was just like, "Oh, good God! Oh my God!" It's like,
listen. I was with my mom and my grandma when we went to see Magic Mike.
Well, that's a fun one, though.
That's actually
my grandma.
I did the same thing.
Is very much like kind of like Betty White in personality, and I absolutely love her. And we were in the theater, and I was sitting next to her. And there's this part where they have the character, and his name's Big Dick Richie, and they have like the screen, and then he's behind the screen, so you just see a silhouette, and then he rips his pants off, and you just see very long hanging. And my grandma goes,
serpent.
Whoa.
Yeah. Trouser snake. Yeah.
And I was like, Grandma, are you okay?
Oh,
you need a moment?
Oh, that sounds like a fun thing to watch with your grandparents.
I think so. Yeah, I would. Lauren, what have you been watching recently that you're into?
I've been watching Killing Eve. I am 100% always watching RuPaul's Drag Race live.
Yes.
Right now we're on All Stars season 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Slay.
Tonight is the second episode of All Stars season 5. I always watch that. What else have I been watching recently?
Anything on Netflix that you and the family been? Well, I guess your significant other. You're not watching much with your kid.
This is gonna sound odd. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Elmo.
Oh, have you? Right on.
No, this is gonna sound kind of odd, but I was watching so much Netflix that I kind of was like, I think I need a little bit of a break, and so I kind of went over to the Hulu side for a bit. So I've been catching up on Handmaid's Tale. I hadn't seen the 3rd season yet.
Handmaid's Tale is nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, hard to watch right now. Like it's just, I don't know. And then other than that, I've kind of had to take a break from watching shows just for fun because I've been screening a lot of films for a film festival.
Right.
And which is really great because then you get to see a lot of different perspectives and creativity that's out there that you normally wouldn't have access to.
Along with working on your project right now. So, you know,
exactly.
Wrapped in that and motherhood, you know.
No big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal, just doing it all. And I have, another job, so.
Yeah. I mean, Christina's practically there. She only gets 45 seconds of sleep
Yeah.
a night.
I
I'm pretty
can't
sure,
imagine
right?
having a kid though. That trumps everything.
Right.
It's tough.
Trumps everything.
Yeah. I
I'm
feel
just
that
happy
for
he's
you.
sleeping through the night, because when they're newborns and they're waking up every 2 hours and then you're just looking over at the other person like you're just like pretending to be asleep, hoping the other person will get up, and
Yeah.
you're just like, it's not my turn, it's not my turn.
Yeah, when I told my cousin to watch the Babadook, he was like, "Yo, dude, you ruined me and my wife. We're not staying up all night trying to keep the kid calm, thinking that there's a monster in his closet and under his bed and shit.
That is
You're
a pretty
fucking
dick move.
douche."
That's hilarious though.
It didn't scare me, so I was like, "Yeah, it's a fun movie because you know, who cares? It's a fiction." And so I didn't think much about it. It's a movie, and he was like, "Yeah, no, it's fucked up. You don't do that."
Do they have a son or a daughter?
Daughter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I was
she was even like, it was really bad. It was just like, "Yo, dude, I have to sleep on the couch. I'm not even like sleeping in my bed." He's like, "I'm about to cost my marriage over one stupid movie, dude."
Yeah, you definitely. I mean, you could have come up with something better than Babadook.
You dick. That's hilarious though.
I'm in my mid-20s. I'm a stoner. What do you
Same. I'm
expect?
barely 21.
Really? That's crazy.
Barely just 21. I've just crossed the threshold.
Man. So
One of my friends said that, "Man, you look like," because like it was the last episode, the Black Lives Matter episode, and my best buddy from high school, he messaged me. He was like, "Dude, why do you look like you're 41 years old?" I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, you look like you're just one kid away from just becoming full dad. Like you look so old. Like, I don't know what you're doing." I'm like, "Not sleeping, I guess. I don't know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we've all aged a bit during this quarantine.
But you guys look great, I'm just the one who looks like a mess. So, and you guys look.
I look great. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I try to sometimes be like that. I definitely like every time I ramp up for a production, especially when I'm going to be in front of the camera, I get this like crazy sense of, oh shit, I have to get in shape because I'm filming in a couple weeks, and then I go on these like crazy, like I've been working out every day, and I've been eating like I know a lot of people make fun of everyone doing the keto diet, but I used to work at a place that was very heavily involved, and I am like straight keto right now. I had a granola bar yesterday, but other than that,
No,
straight
but let me tell you something. It works. I lost 17 pounds in 2 weeks doing just doing keto and becoming like ketosis after 3 weeks. Literally just took another 14 days, and I lost like 15 to 17 pounds just like that.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah.
It works, but you do get a little groggy at first. You feel like you're kind of like in a head high. You're like, "Oh, okay, this is weird," but you muscle through it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why so I drink the butter coffee every morning, and I've actually been drinking that for like 2 or 3 years. But yeah, when I originally kind of was eating like that, I lost like 30 pounds when I first moved here to Austin. And then obviously I got pregnant, and so I gained a lot of it back plus more. And then now I'm like 15, 20-ish pounds away from pre-pregnancy weight. And so I'm like, okay,
Congrats.
This feels doable now,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I need to lose weight, That's just my take.
It feels good to feel like from working out and everything and eating clean, it feels good to just be like strong, like feel strong again,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I don't know, Christine. I'm fresh out of ideas and fresh out of questions. Do you have anything for Miss Lauren?
No, I think we've hit our 1 hour anyway. So.
Oh yeah, we definitely hit the hour.
We did.
We did it.
We did it, guys. Okay. So Lauren,
thank
take this
you guys
moment.
so much for having me on.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to
thank you.
talk to us. So
we
I just thought it was a good segue because like productions are happening, and I'm sure everybody's coming up with the same problem. Like, how do we keep everybody healthy? So
Yeah.
So, you want to plug anything like your social medias, your Instagram, your Twitters, your Facebooks, your anything you want to plug?
Oh,
You go ahead and plug away.
Oh yeah, I'll plug it all. All right. You can Venmo me at, no, I'm just kidding.
Nice. Yes. Venmo. Lauren Locks.
No, my Instagram is at Lauren Rose Locks. My Twitter is also at Lauren Rose Locks. Facebook page is Lauren Locks Official. Website is laurenlocks.com. So pretty simple.
Ladies
and
and
then there's
gentlemen.
also the Dawn Facebook page. The Dawn Facebook page.
Dawn Facebook page. Follow that. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Get Reelisms podcast. We thank Lauren Locks for coming in and joining us. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, we're gonna be signing off here, Facebook and everywhere else. So you guys, keep on keeping on,
Yep, and stay safe. It's still shelter in place, everyone. The pandemic has not ended.
No, still shelter in place, please.
Shelter in place.
Even though it seems like Texas is just all, we're all back in, grooving again. We're not. It's still a thing to wear a mask. It's still a thing to practice social distancing. It's just the right thing to do. All I have to say is
6 feet
do
apart.
the right thing,
Yes.
okay?
I'll say shelter in place unless you're peacefully protesting for a good cause.
Yes.
Yes.
Peaceful protests. Black Lives
If you
Matter.
do, wear masks.
Wear masks. Yeah. Follow Christine Chen on all social media. Christine Chen, Christine W. Chen on Facebook. Mottoplaying Films on YouTube, youtube.com/Mottoplaying Films. Fun Employment on Amazon Prime.
It's too long.
Fabulous 5 short films on Amazon.
I don't know. There's too many things.
Yeah, I want to watch
now.
the album.
Go watch it. It's on Amazon. Yeah, just
watch the album on Amazon. Follow female filmmakers. Don't follow me. I'm not even going to put in my social media because
He'll just tell you to go watch Babadook.
Go watch Babadook. You know what I mean? Go have fun. Stay home. Take the day off.
Stay home.
Okay.
Take all the days
if you need a good, warm-hearted film, I would suggest Babadook. It's about love.
If you want to watch a film with your parents, watch Carol.
Watch Carol. Exactly.
And free the nipple.
Free the nipple. Make your parents uncomfortable. Okay, guys. We are signing out, okay?
Yes. Bye, Lauren.
Bye, Lauren. Thank you again. Okay.
Hey.
We're still recording, but
stop the live.
No, the live's done. We're done. We're done.
Okay, cool.
We're done being live, I think.
Cool.
Let me check really quick.
I'm really glad that you
That I took over?
Yes.
Well, I just didn't want to step on your feet. You know what I mean? I didn't want to.
No, I'm just glad you took over because I was like, I don't know what else to say.
Well, I was worried. I was going to send you a message. I'm like, please don't tell me you're just going to end the interview. Like, we haven't even hit an hour. It was like 20 minutes in. And you're like, okay, well, I guess we could just take this in for a landing. And I'm like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm so bad at podcasts.
I'm like, Christine, 20 minutes in and you're already jumping ship.
Well, I'm like, I gotta go make call sheets now.
You're like, okay, well, that's the thing. You got a real job, I'm here just being like, wait, are we ending the show?